Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and Rudy Gay guessed wrong, Golden State got it right, and Utah is screwed. That's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and if I was a starting franchise NFL quarterback, I would be looking at my league and my agent like, what the fuck, with regards to these NBA contracts. And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Red O, and the NBA Western Division can literally start two different starting teams for their All-Star game and still beat the East. And that's my confirmation bias.
And I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. If you're an adult and you're still setting fireworks off, you should be ashamed of yourself. Unless you're an NBA free agent, then you can do what the hell you want. And that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. This is episode 32. Can you believe it? Once again, please check us out across all social media platforms at our handle at the League AM. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even Snapchat. You can also check us out on our website, theleagueam.com, where you can check out all of our content, all of our previous shows, our blog spot, which is Diplomatic Immunity, which we encourage all of our viewers and listeners to check out. If they have a peace of mind to say about the world of sports, please go ahead and speak your mind. For those of you guys watching us on Facebook Live at the moment, please submit all questions and any comments that you feel are relevant to the topics we talk about today in so we can address them in our show at the end of today with a Diplomatic Community segment. And if you are someone that watches podcasts, vodcasts, or listen to podcasts, please subscribe to Confirmation Bias across iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the League Ambassadors. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Ambassador Kev, take it away.
All right, guys, we're going to get into these hot topics today. And if you have a question what we're going to cover tonight, it is no surprise. NBA free agency is underway, and it was lit the last few days. We've had some big names get traded. Some guys hop from coast to coast. Some actually stay home. So I'm going to ask you guys, I'll kick it to you tonight. What do you guys make of free agency so far? Were you surprised by where any player ended up or what a specific team did or didn't do with these first few days?
I was actually surprised about Sacramento. They were busier than I thought they were going to be. I thought Sacramento was going to just, go straight youth and
sit on their laurels?
Yeah, why not?
Those were some interesting signings, George Hill and Zach Randolph, because you would assume that they're going to go to the youth movement. But then I guess if you look upon closer inspection, De'Aaron Fox is only 19 years old. He's played 1 year, right?
His mind isn't old.
And his getting George Hill, George Hill getting a multi-year deal, which I think, we were actually talking to George Hill, but we
didn't want that price tag.
No. We're not giving multi-year deals.
Y'all weren't gonna give one for 19 though either.
Yeah, we would have.
Really?
Yeah, we offered Deion Waiters our full $17 million. We got money to spend, but it's only for 1 year. So he got the multi-year deal, which gives him some security. He gets to sort of, slowly, or he allows De'Aaron to slowly develop. The Zebo thing, I mean, He played for Dave Yerger, and I think that was the thing.
There was some familiarity there.
Exactly.
And he's a hog, so
right.
He can teach these youngsters.
You get a hog on the team. You get some veteran experience to go along with the youth.
Where did Vince end up?
Vince also ended up in Sacramento as well.
They got real old.
They got
the average age went up a little bit with those two signings.
Oh, dish.
And they're good signings, but it's just you would think the older players would end up somewhere where they have a better chance to win. But since Sacramento was handing out multi-year contracts,
exactly, you're gonna go where the money is.
Right. Yeah, I think that was definitely a move by Sacramento. I mentioned it on the show, a previous show, that if you're gonna have that much young talent, you need some type of veteran leadership around them, and veteran is exactly what they went after.
Right,
but not leadership.
Leadership, man, maybe not so much. I thought it was interesting what Minnesota did, though. We laughed about Thibodeau going after Joakim Noah, but they did reach back into that Chicago Bulls, to that box of NBA past and got Taj Gibson, get him back with Thibodeau. So it's him, Jimmy Butler, and Tibbs back together again. So I think it's interesting what Minnesota did as well.
The Jeff Teague move was interesting to me. We've joked, I think Omar has consistently joked in our chat that Ricky Rubio must have slept with somebody's girlfriend or wife. Because I don't really see.
I don't get it either.
I don't get like Ricky Rubio. You would think on a team where Jimmy Butler's on there with Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns that you would want a distributor as your point guard, and instead they get Jeff Teague, a guy who, he could be Omar's son.
And we got Jeff Teague, and then we got Kyrie. Like, your NBA lineage is growing by the minute, brother.
The thing is, though,
I got sons.
The only thing he can do better than Rubio is shoot better, but it's not like it's that much where it's like, okay, I have to do this.
There aren't going to be many shots for him, though.
Yeah.
Because you
kept Rubio.
So it's weird.
Who plays better defense?
It's weird.
Who plays better defense?
Rubio.
Damn, that means T can't play any fucking defense.
Right. I like the Taj Gibson thing, and and it helps to have guys kind of like what we just talked about with Sacramento. You've got guys that are familiar with Thibodeau. They're going to help sort of reinforce his message, particularly on the defensive end.
Right.
And so I think in terms of culture and really Tibbs being able to really establish the sort of defensive identity that I think that team needs, I think it's a good situation for Minnesota.
Yeah, well, two of the biggest names that went off the board, Gordon Hayward ended up in Boston, like I think we all figured he would, but Paul George, at least to my surprise, got traded to OKC, which I'm sure Omar and Kenyon think is a 1 year.
Yeah, baby.
Were you guys shocked
and
that Paul George ended up there?
You said what?
I said you got shocked that Paul George ended up in OKC.
Shocked and happy.
Yeah. It was.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, the shock quickly got consumed by the happiness.
It's a great move for OKC though, because they have options now. If they can convince Paul George somehow to re-up, then they got two players to build around. If he leaves, then they shown Westbrook that they're going to do what they can to build around him, and if he leaves, they get to start over.
And they got rid of Oladipo's contract, which is why.
And Oladipo,
which is why it was such a big miss for Cleveland, because if you're Cleveland, now you're going to be in a situation where if LeBron leaves in 2018, you're going to be stuck with. Hey, I don't want to. Listen, I won't put nothing out there.
I'll put it out there.
But when he leaves in 2018, you're going to be stuck with Kevin Love's contract. So when they talked about Paul George being someone that they were going after, the upshot to that was even if Paul George were to leave, at least you got rid of Kevin's contract. Well, that's what Oklahoma City did. On top of the fact that they got Patrick Patterson, for a very good deal, and he can slide in as a Taj Gibson replacement, and he's an outside shooter. I believe he shoots around 40% from three. And then they also were able to re-sign Andre Roberson very quietly. Oklahoma City, there could be something there.
I just don't see.
But it'll last for only a year.
Well, it's definitely going to last for a year, and I don't know how successful they'll be this year with two guys that need the ball all the time. Paul George
has an ability to play off the ball, though. He's much more comfortable
Willie
playing off
on a one-year deal knowing he coming home.
He's just trying to stay healthy.
Right. He's going to be real comfortable playing off the ball.
But if they want him coming off screen, I'm not running through no screens. I'm not doing no double screens. Fuck all that.
Well, you guys mentioned, the fate of a couple playoff teams from last year. So I'll pivot and ask from simply a competitive standpoint, and we'll stick with playoff teams. Is there anyone that you guys think got either significantly better or worse? And I'll go ahead and start by saying I'm extremely disappointed in the Washington Wizards, who are not my team, but they're the closest team to me. A team that had no depth going into this offseason, lost Bogdanovich. They're either going to lose Otto Porter or going to pay him more money than he should, which we'll get to. To me, it's Washington, and like Kenyon mentioned, Cleveland. I think they were in a position where they should have and could have made a move to get better, and they didn't.
I think it's definitely Cleveland, just for the simple fact that they start the offseason without a GM. They whiffed on their GM, their number one GM pick.
By lowballing him.
By lowballing.
Among other things.
Yeah. And then they turned around and signed 3 of the oldest fucking players in the league.
Yeah.
They gave Kyle Korver a big payday. He's 36. And then Calderon is 37. And then Richard Jefferson is 37,
by basically
38.
standing pat, they lose the free agents, even though they were in the finals.
Well, they paid the stand pat.
They did. This is the chickens coming home to roost, which we've talked about on previous shows. They didn't have a choice, and Dan Gilbert again. I'm doubling down on this. Okay,
he's selling.
He's throwing down the gauntlet. He's telling LeBron, "This is the bed you made. Sleep in it and deal with it. I'm not spending any more money." And it's a showdown's coming in Cleveland. Now, having said that, they're probably still going to make the finals.
They're probably. It's Eastern Conference Finals only going to go to 6 or 7 games.
You mean the finals? I don't know.
Eastern Conference.
They'll make the Eastern Conference.
No. I think they'll come out of the East. I think they'll still come out of the East.
Depends on that last move that I think Boston's going to make.
But that 2018 shit, I know we're talking about 2017, but the Banana Boat crew is in full effect now with Chris Paul going to Houston and opting in. Like that's all that shit can come to fruition. Is basically up. Like Melo becomes the wild card because he has that $28 million option. But if he
declines that option, which at $28 million is a lot of money, and you're going through a divorce.
See him working out 2 a.m.
Yeah,
getting it in.
You're going through. You're getting ready to go through a divorce. That $28 million is probably going to come in handy. But you're right though, because with Chris Paul opting in, he's going to be a free agent next year. LeBron definitely will be a free agent next year. Wade will be a free agent. The question is, where will these guys land?
Hey, Pat Riley is rubbing his hands together. He can't
do it again.
Yeah, I think a team that took a step back in the West though, is the Los Angeles Clippers.
That goes without saying.
I think they made a decision, which we're going to talk about in terms of contracts, in terms of how they wanted to deal with Chris Paul. They did swing a 3-team deal with Danilo Gallinari, but
we both know Doc ain't never had that much creativity in his brain.
Yeah, we know where that came. It was Jerry West. That was Mr. West. But they're Jerry West is over there shuffling that jigsaw puzzle. But I think that they're definitely going to take a step back.
They
will
have a great front court though. The front court will be nice. It's just that's it.
Well, the question is, how much is DeAndre Jordan going to really develop now? Because he's going to need to actually produce on the offensive end. And I think that's going to be a huge question.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
No, that's dead. Do you guys, just quick once over, you guys have any team that you think got significantly better?
Playoff team?
The Houston Rockets. And I think it's because they were able to bring back Nene. They re-signed Eric Gordon. They also added, who am I missing?
The Golden State Warriors.
That's true, the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. But no, I think Houston, with the Chris Paul situation and them being able to retain Nene, their bench is gonna and PJ Tucker. That's what I'm thinking about. PJ Tucker as well, adding
which was a silent pickup, but that's a great pickup.
It's a great pickup. They definitely got. But I think they will be. I think they'll be the number 2 team in the Western Conference when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I agree with Omar. How could a team so stacked like Golden State manage to get Omri Caspi, who's a great 3-point shooter, and then he is no longer Swaggy P. He is now Nick Young. That's a hell of a pick. I mean, people can knock him all they want, but the kid has talent. If you're around winners, then I think we saw with JaVale McGee, he'll come up.
And then he showed the Golden State that he can play and he plays better in that offense.
I think they need. I will say this. I agree with you, Kevin, but I do think that they need to bring back JaVale McGee because they still haven't addressed the size issue. Not saying that it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. I think I'm very comfortable with saying that the Golden State Warriors are probably going to repeat. But you want that size in there. And JaVale McGee, he's talked to the Clippers. He's meeting with the Kings today. I think he's somebody that they would want to bring back in the fold just so that they can have that size.
But they want him at their price. And JaVale's trying to get somebody to give him a little bit more money.
Yeah, well, speaking of money, Omar, thank you for that segue. The biggest highlight from free agency was by far the amount of money that these teams have been kicking out to these players. NFL Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson said the other day that NFL players are admitting that they are looking at these NBA contracts with envy. I mean, Devin mentioned his confirmation bias. These guys are getting quarterback money. J.J. Redick, $23 million in 1 year. That's close to what Derek Carr got when he signed with Oakland. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do we make of these contracts? And then in the foreseeable future, what do we think this means for the NBA?
I mean, I think NFL players need to hush their mouths because it's a totally different sport. Ain't nobody saying nothing about baseball players getting all that money. I actually don't like the fact that they talking about it. Y'all, they made the bed that they in. They just need to lie in it. I mean, does it? Go ahead.
Does it mean anything to you that Otto Porter may be making over $100 million? Like, at some point, something about that just isn't right.
It's not right at all.
But the thing is, it's been wrong for years. The real thing about the Otto Porter situation, though, is Brooklyn, the offer sheet that he signed, Brooklyn's offer sheet, there's a 15% trade kicker in that deal. So essentially, Washington, if they sign it, if they match it, they're going to be stuck with Otto Porter.
Yeah.
But I think you look at what happened with Chris Paul. You look at the deal that Kyle Lowry signed. I think these owners are getting smarter. They can't do anything with the money. There's only one person still stuck on the late bus. That's Dell Demps, the GM down in New Orleans. Fucked around and gave Drew Holiday a 5-year deal.
When only two other athletes in the sport got 5-year deals. One's a 2-time MVP. He is Steph Curry.
In a down point guard market.
Right. And the other one is the face of a franchise, which is Blake Griffin. Oh, and Drew Holiday gets a 5-year deal.
Drew Holiday got a 5-year deal. I think that the owners are smartening up. Chris Paul wanted that 5th year, didn't get that 5th year. He got traded. Kyle Lowry, 3 years in Toronto. I think that, the owners are catching up. The owners are getting smarter. And it'll correct itself. But the money is there. I mean,
Do you guys have a feeling, maybe this is just me, the pessimist in me, but I feel like the NBA at least is putting too much air in this balloon, and at some point it's going to pop. We may face some labor disputes, maybe even a lockout. I just feel like these contracts are reaching a point where the NBA won't be able to backtrack from it.
No, I think the owners are going to be the ones to say, like, the money is there because they're making money, but I'm just not going to sign a deal where it goes so long where it turns into a bad deal. I mean, is Kyle Lowry a $30 million a year player? Probably not.
No. But,
it's a 3-year deal. So it looks better with the 3rd year being at the team option. So it's essentially a 2-year deal. That's not, that's the going rate.
Yeah, especially, and then you take a look at a guy like Kevin Durant who took a major pay cut to keep the Golden State core intact.
He's going to get his, though.
Yeah, he'll eventually get his, but it's just funny to see, like you said, a guy like Drew Holiday get 5 years, $125 million, and Kevin Durant,
and
team a hometown discount.
Kevin, your kids are calling, which means we got to transition out of this segment.
All right, it's time. Would you stop it? Give the boy a new toy, man. It's time for Black or Blue. First up is it newsworthy or not? We got Roger Federer became only the 3rd person in ATP history with 10,000 aces. Now, if you don't know what ace is, when you serve the ball in tennis and the other person does not touch the ball, which means a professional athlete whose only job is to hit the ball back to him cannot touch it. It's a very hard thing to do. If you have a great serve, that goes a long way to you being a good tennis player. And Roger Federer, again, just passed 10,000. Is it newsworthy or not?
For me, I would say anytime that you are a 3rd time all-time in something, it's good. But in this, to me, I think is nothing to see here for the simple fact that Ivo Karlovic is number 1.
And the other Eastern blocker is
Korin Ivan Savic is number 2.
Oh, Goran Ivanisevic. I know who. I remember him. He had a mad temper.
I think he has the number 1 has like 12,000.
Right. So between the two of them, they have 1 Grand Slam. And guess what, guys? After Federer, number 4 is our boy John Isner, who we just talked about.
Oh my God!
So it doesn't. I don't think it's newsworthy.
The thing is I'm not sure of the number, but Federer, if I'm not mistaken, has the most second serve aces out of anybody, which is bananas. Shows you how good his serve is. I watched a video, and it was 2008. Sampras was at the end of his career, but he served 4 aces in a row to Sampras, and Sampras just stopped. He moved to the sideline. He let the ball boy hit the ball back like the crowd was laughing. He was like, "Nah, I'm good. It's time for me to retire." After that, that's one of the greatest tennis players of all time, getting ace 4 times.
When you start hearing about athletes putting up stats that are in the tens of thousands, it just means one thing: they've been playing their sport for a long time,
and they're still good at it, though.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say newsworthy just in the sense that it reminds me of one of those outrageous stats on LeBron that came up during the finals, triple doubles or his points average in an elimination game. I think it just goes to show how dominant he's been, regardless of the fact that the 2 other people aren't as great as he is.
So it's something to note, but not super newsworthy.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Mr. LeVar Ball. The Ball family will star in their own reality show that will air on Facebook. I think Facebook has one other show. I'm not sure what it is, but I know this is their second show that they're airing. Hope or hype? Will somebody else besides Magic and Rob Pelinka see LeVar Ball act as we suspect he does, as a good, responsible father who loves his family and actually gives them a reason to love him back?
I think it's a hit, Jack. He ain't missed yet. Keep shooting your shot.
Hope or hype?
Oh, hope or hype? I think it's hope. I think it's hope and hype.
Right. Yeah, it is definitely both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I care about his son.
Right.
So it's hype.
Yeah, I think everything LeVar Ball does is hype. He's the biggest hype man in the NBA. But, hey, I'll be honest. I know he doesn't care about what we think about him as long as we're watching.
Right.
I know I'm watching.
Right. All right. And last but not least, hit a flop. MLB, Major League Baseball umpire Angel Hernandez is suing the Major League Baseball, alleging that good old Joe Torre has hindered his career because of a personal beef. He also said there's racial discrimination that plays a part in the lack of promotions for minority umpires. 23 umpires have been promoted to crew chief since 2000. Not one of them are a minority. And only one minority has been a part of a crew that's assigned to the World Series since Joe Torre took over.
That's one more than I thought.
I think this lawsuit might be a hit just because I think maybe 3 years ago, Joe Torre did an interview with Joe Buck on his show, and he actually said, and it might have been tongue-in-cheek, but in the deposition, it's going to be a problem. He said literally the exact same thing, which was, the biggest thing about my job is that I get to get even with a few umpires.
He said that?
He said that in an interview. So in the deposition, that's going to be really interesting. So for that reason alone, this is a hit of a lawsuit.
The only problem Mr. Hernandez has is the fact that he's actually a bad umpire. Like when they do his stats, he's like out of 96, out of 100, he's like 88 or something like that. Like with his calls, he's bad.
Well, not to descend into legalese, but I think, what is going to be looked at and examined is whether or not baseball has a systemic problem as it pertains to umpires getting opportunities and advancing. And, the evidence is definitely damning in a white man's sport, which we've talked about for a very long time. So we'll see.
Yeah, Ken, you took the words out of my mouth. I'd say it's a hit in the fact that we finally get to see baseball air out some of its dirty laundry. Hopefully, we'll be able to see it, but we know how these lawsuits go. It'll be a payout, and it'll disappear in a year or so.
The kids love you, Kevin.
We need that bell back.
Have you noticed we don't have our fucking bell? All right, it's time for Is You With It or Nah? On today's show with the debate, we are going to discuss Manny Pacquiao. and whether or not he should give up the ghost. Our combatants are Ambassador Dad and Ambassador Red O. Kev, you are the judge. Very simple question. After Manny Pacquiao, he definitely got roughed up in the fight. I think, I see both sides. There was one judge's scorecard, 117-111, that was, I don't know what fight he was watching.
Is it the WBO? They've already said they're going to rescore the fight.
They're going to rescore the fight.
They're not changing the victory, but they're going to
rescore the fight.
Yes.
But, I think what is indisputable is that Manny looked old in the fight. And so the question, as a result, is, should Manny Pacquiao retire?
Hey, depending on what side I get, I don't know if I want you to say that, right?
No. Should Manny?
You gotta
talking about
up.
He looked old in the fight.
You gotta ease up, brother. Just introduce the topic, brother.
Should Manny? You look old.
And there we have it.
Should Manny Pacquiao retire?
I think you've spoken. Do you have a coin?
I need a coin. You got a coin?
Probably broke.
Let's flip it.
I don't have a coin.
All right. Hey, Omar, pick a number between 1 and 5.
Oh shit. 1.
The number was 3. Devin, should he retire or should he not?
He didn't pick a number.
The number was 3. Devin won.
we just gotta keep going.
We gotta keep going.
We gotta get out of here. He's gonna
same distance.
He's gonna retire.
He's gonna retire. Omar, you gonna go first or second? Wait a minute. He should retire?
Yes.
He should retire. Omar, you gonna go first or second?
I am. Oh man. Technically, it was a tie on the number, but it's cool. I'm gonna go first. No, I'm gonna go second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
Let's.
Devin's gonna go first.
Try to bring this back.
3, 2, go, Dev.
All right. There are a plethora of reasons why the Hall of Famer Emmanuel Dapindran Pacquiao should retire. There's absolutely nothing that he has left to prove. He's the only boxer in the history of fighting in boxing that has won 8 titles or titles in 8 different weight classes. He's moved up from 112 pounds to 154 pounds, and that's not a typo. That is a real weight. And he won in 8 different divisions after he skipped 115 and 118. So that's very impressive. He is the boxer of the decade of the 2000s, of the aughts. And he got picked over fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, and Bernard Hopkins. There are also 300 million reasons why he should retire, which is his total career earnings. 300 million goes a long way in the Philippines, and he's also a senator there, so he has his civic duty. Most importantly, though, as Kenyon actually alluded to, there's major slippage there. He's been, in his last 10 fights, he's 6-4. And although he got robbed, in my opinion, versus Horn, he was definitely getting out-hustled, and he was getting roughed up. And with that level of competition, he should have definitely been able to stop someone like Jeff Horn. And it shouldn't have been close. Now, he's been described as a dynamo, a finisher, a great knockout artist. Manny Pacquiao hasn't knocked anyone out since 2009. And that was Miguel Cotto, who was weight drained. And there's no one else left for him to fight, unless he goes and fights a young bull. And can you imagine a 38-year-old Manny Pacquiao fighting Terrence Crawford? That's hella dangerous, and we don't want to see Manny go out like that. But if he continues to fight nobodies and he doesn't look good, it's going to tarnish his legacy. Don't go out like Willie Lump Lump, Manny. Retire.
Oh, man, we need that bell.
Omar, ready, go, now.
All right, so I get the opposite of whether Manny should retire or not. Devin said, yes, he should retire. The problem is I agree with Devin. He should retire, just not now. So it's all about technicalities. Now, we know he really won the fight. Now, he got beat up, but he's 38 years old, and he's fighting a fighter who, I mean, you know, he roughed him up, but he's 10 years younger than him. And he's still competitive. He's still one of the best fighters in the world, and he actually won the fight. And that $300 million argument you made, he lost most of that money. So the reason he fought this fight in the first place was because he got $10 million and he fought in front of 52 million people in Australia. So he has a rematch clause. 52,000 people, I'm sorry. He has a rematch clause. So he can get another $10 million, which he needs because he needs every last bit of that money. That senator money doesn't go as far as boxing money. So he can get one more fight, get the right judgment that he was supposed to get that victory, and then retire as a champion. Simple as that. And he needs all that money.
Yay!
Okay, Kev?
All right. Good argument, guys. Way to take Lester's dump that he just dropped on us and left. But I appreciate that. It's tough thinking about this because Manny was definitely one of my favorite fighters 7 years ago. So I would hate to see him go out like this. But I'll have to side with Devin on this one. The guy doesn't have anything else to lose. He's a senator, an alderman, handed a king back in whatever country he's from. He doesn't have anything else to prove. He's got bigger things in boxing on his plate. Let him go off into the distance.
I just took that side just because I wanted to take that side because I knew that $300 million argument was bullshit. I had a hard time saying it. That's the only reason why I said it.
Bob Arum should be ashamed for sending Pacquiao.
I wrote it down on my paper like, Devin, really?
Because the other way, he's blown that money.
Yeah.
And I was hoping you would go into some of this stuff, but like, do you guys realize that when he fought Floyd, he paid between $3 and $4 million for his entourage to attend the fight? He bought 900 tickets for that. When they travel to fight,
900?
900.
Wow.
900 tickets. He spent $3 to $4 million. When they travel to fight, they go in a caravan, 25 to 30 cars deep. It's ridiculous. When he fought Algeria and Macau, he flew 380 people from the Philippines to Macau.
Yes. And the problem is once he retires, those freeloaders are gonna have to find something else to do.
That rematch money ain't taking him far, so get up now.
All right, well, before we get out of here, let's see what's anything in diplomatic immunity.
Oh, we get to get out of here?
We are going to get out of here.
We better hurry up.
Let's see. We have, a Mr. Norman Johnson asks, how is it that Steph has quietly become unsung? If I'm not mistaken, didn't he go to the finals 3 straight years and won 2 chips? Should have won 3. Sorry, politics. Do we agree that Steph Curry is unsung?
I don't know.
Signed a $200 million contract.
I don't know if it's unsung, but I see where he's coming from because.
Do you?
Yeah,
you see.
No, I mean because he hasn't won Finals MVP. He's not loud. He hasn't had a big moment in the finals or in the playoffs. It's kind of a team
struggle, right?
Well, not this time.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about
but before. Yeah. So I could see that, and then you got KD going off, who just went berserk. So he kind of fell back, but he went off in the finals.
I think it's more of all the other things that are happening where Kevin Durant, the number 1 scorer in the league, comes on his team. And then all the drama of PG-13. He's just quiet, enjoying his life because he had the moment with his daughter and all that good stuff. Everybody's following him and his wife. He had his little time. He good. He trying to be quiet.
Oh. And unfortunately, maybe fortunately for us, we're going to land right there.
At least one of us.
At least one of us. That's our show for today, so thank you for joining Confirmation Bias episode 32. Again, please check us out across all social media on our handle at The League AM and our website, theleagueam.com. Check out Diplomatic Immunity, our blog spot, and please share across social media. Liking is cool, sharing is caring. And let us know if your bias has been confirmed.
The edited version will be out soon.